Hello everyone, it's Phil Jones, and joining me is Jason from Meridio AVPro. So Jason, how are you?
Phil, always happy to hang out and talk to you, man. How's everything with you?
So today we're going to be talking about new updates and new news from the AVPro family of products. Before we get started, we always want to thank AVPro and Meridio for helping us put on our year-end projection recap, where we talk about all things related to projectors and things you need to connect a projector and get great performance. So AVPro Global is a major provider of things such as long-distance HDMI solutions and testing gear. And they also are going to be doing some new things this year. So Jason, why don't you kind of talk about some new exciting things that happened this year with your company?
Yeah, this was a huge year for us, and I've been with the company since the very early days, and this is the biggest year that we've ever had. Not only with some new products, but also some acquisitions that are going to take us well into 2024 and way beyond. So we've got some massive plans for training and for new products, and merging the multiple brands now that we have, intertwining them a bit better. The biggest news that we had this year was the purchase of Audio Control's home division. So Audio Control has been around for decades. They've got a fantastic name in the audio realm. They do some really great stuff with AVRs and separates and subwoofer amplifiers. And if you guys have been around for a little while, you know the Audio Control name, home audio and car audio. We decided the car audio stuff's just not for us. Yeah, we took on the home audio side of it. As a lot of you might know, that stuff is put together in Seattle. So, we're really going for this Made in America concept, which has been an immense amount of work. So we have the Audio Control stuff coming out of Seattle. We're starting to have some AVPro Edge stuff come out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Those machines are up and running as of right now, so that's also some really big news. Also, the purchase of Then Audio, a gentleman named Yuhan. He's a fantastic, brilliant engineer. He's famous for making some really cool video and audio products in his past life with his past company. And I think what's really done the most for us this year is our AV over IP system called MXNet. It has taken off like crazy, and we've done some really, really big jobs. We've got some case studies on our YouTube channel if you want to check it out. But it is a unbelievably easy to use and flexible AV over IP system that you can scale forever if you want to.
Of course, when it comes to long distance, video distribution, that's something that is you need when it comes to projection 90% of the time, because
Sure.
normally the projector is way over there,
Yep.
way up there, and all of your gear is way the heck over there, right? So trying to get high quality signal into your projector is always a challenge, because you
Sure.
can have the best projector and the best sources, but if you can't get the signal from A to B, what's the
stuck.
case?
Yeah.
And we always want to kind of explain that there's multiple ways to do this, and you guys are involved in all the ways, right? The
Yes.
first way is a regular HDMI cable. You guys make those, right? Under the bullet train.
Under our bullet train label. Those cables are just rock solid. We sell a ton of those cables, and where we're really starting to shine is the AOC cables, the active optical cables. We have cables now up to 80 meters, doing 48 gigabits per second, 4K, 8K, all those great things. The 8 and 10 meter cables so far have been through DPL Labs and just got an absolutely stellar feedback and recommendations from Jeff Boccaccio over there at DPL Labs on the 8 and 10 meter. We have our other lengths of cables going through the testing phases right now, but those AOC cables are absolutely awesome. I carry a couple of them around with me when I go do calibration work, because as you're saying, the projector's not always in the same room as the gear, but the bullet train stuff has just been rocking and rolling. It's rock solid. We get nothing but compliments on them. And that's usually what we do for the high quality long distance stuff. Anything over 10 gigs per second, you really want to start looking at an AOC cable, especially, Phil, in your world where you're dealing with projectors and big screens. If there's any noise in the picture or any compression artifacts, and then you blow that up to a 120-inch screen, it's like putting a magnifying glass on all of the noise and compression artifacts. So, anything high quality, we definitely want to try to use an AOC cable as much as humanly possible, but it's not always possible. We got some other solutions for that too.
Exactly. So in my house, and also in my lab, and in my work environment, we use pretty much tons and tons of bullet train active and even passive cable. So in
Yep.
this space, I actually have like a switcher, one of yours. It's a 4 in, 2 out,
Oh, it's 4x2,
40
yeah.
gigabit, yeah,
Great
for
piece, by the way.
8K. Does Dolby Vision and HDR 10 plus and
Yeah.
all of that stuff, so I can do all of the testing. So I can have two projectors connected, and I can switch between a PlayStation and a Blu-ray player and my Apple TV, and I can use it to test. I have and I also run in the front of the room is an ultra shred throw. And
Oh, cool.
this kind of cabinet is in the back of the room, and wife doesn't
Right.
want a wire running right through the middle of the room.
Why
So
not?
it actually has enough link to. She doesn't like spouses normally don't like you running wires the shortest way possible. They
She
want them
likes
out
her.
of the way, right?
She obviously likes her ankles,
So-
I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And you'll be amazed at how quickly people think they don't really need a cable that's 5 meters or 10 meters long.
It goes quick.
Until you try to run it out of the way. And the
goes
second
quick.
you try to run it out of the way, it gets a little harder when you got to go all the way to the wall, all the way along the wall, all the way around,
Dude,
all the way up. You know,
when-
you'll be amazed at how quickly the link goes away.
If I mount a TV for a friend or family member, even though the TV is not that high up on the wall, it looks like a 2 meter cable would be fine. But I'm doing 3s and 4s. I've been doing that for years because you never know when the TV might move or something along those lines. I do want to touch on something you mentioned before, the 4x2. So this year we also released some 8K capable products, and the 4x2 is one of them. That is a stellar little switch. It's not very expensive. And where that switch really shines, I know, Phil, in your world, you deal with a lot of audio. I'm a big audio guy myself, disguised as a video guy. But, we have these situations where somebody has a really, really nice preamp or really nice AVR, but it's not capable of doing 18 gigs. Maybe it's a bit older, or you're replacing all of your new components and your sources in your display, but you're not ready to swap that AVR out yet. So the 4x2 is excellent. You put all your inputs into the 4 part of the 4x2, and then the 2 part of the 2x2 are 2 outputs. So one output goes over to the AVR for sound, one output goes over to the TV or the projector for video. So you're getting the best of the audio, the best of the video, and you can still use your old AVR that you love.
Exactly. And I'm glad you brought that up, because that is probably one of the reasons why most people have to replace their AVRs these days. You could have a 5.1.4 system with Dolby Atmos.
Sure.
That has not changed, right?
Right,
But
exactly.
then all of a sudden you get an 8K TV, or you went from your HD TV to a 4K TV or whatever,
Yeah.
vice versa, and it doesn't
Right.
work. I actually had to swap. I had the 18 gig, and then version of it. Then I switched to the newer one, because
yeah.
of the fact that it also passes audio, but it also passes Dolby Vision and HDR10 and all
Yep.
of that stuff as well. Great
Exactly.
piece. You can also do HDMI extenders, and you make some of the best of those as well.
The compliment that we've gotten on extenders since I've worked for the company, I hear this constantly when I first started with AVPro, and even to this day, our number one compliment on the extender kit is 3 words: it just works.
Exactly.
But if you are running into some problems, and I don't mean problems with the extender, I mean problems with the system, maybe there's multiple brands in the distribution system or multiple displays of different capabilities, you can do all of your EDID management and scaling on the extender itself. So if you have that one TV that's in the distributed system that's on the patio or in the kitchen, and that one's only 720p or 1080p, you can scale the output on the extender kit, and the other TVs and displays in the house can still get the 4K like they need to. So it's an extremely versatile, well-built, with a lot of cool features. It's a nice extender kit. And we do that in a 40 meter,
Yeah,
70 meter, and 100 meter.
Yeah, and you do them with either Cat 6, or you can with Ethernet wire, or you can also do it with fiber. And the nice thing about a fiber one is the capability. Once that wire's in the wall, you'll probably wouldn't have to run another piece of wire. You just basically maybe have to replace the ends and replace the extenders, but you don't have to go back into the wall, which a lot of times is one of the more expensive process, just because of the labor to run that. So that's one of the benefits of having extenders.
So Tom, my marketing director, and we had a small kiosk in the HDMI booth at CES almost a year ago now. And I was showing off some radio test equipment. We had the 7G. I think we had the Fox and Hound there, if I'm not mistaken, a few bullet train cables. But what we were really there to do was to show off our fiber extender. And that was another one this year that we released that's 8K capable. And by the way, just a little side note, for people out there who are, 8K, we don't need it yet, there's no content yet. We're getting better. Every year, Phil, we have this conversation, but don't rule out 4K 120 because that's part of that spec as well. And that's probably going to be a lot more important right now than 8K. But the fact that it can do it over these long distances is awesome. And the setup that we had was a new Xbox. We had the AVPro Edge fiber extender kit and plugged into a TV. So what was really interesting about it, we did this intentionally so people could kind of grasp the concept of this, but we had a roll of fiber, like a big drum roll of fiber, and it was 284 meters of fiber cable. I believe it was OM3 if I'm not mistaken, but Tom and I were gaming on that Xbox at 4K 120 with 0 latency. And when you show people stuff like that, it's almost a 300-meter run, right? And 4K 120 0 latency. It's almost like, am I dreaming right now? Like, what is going on here? This doesn't seem like it should be possible, but we've got it figured out.
The speed of light, my friend, the speed of light.
Well, the lens too. Don't forget the lens on the transmitter and the lens on the in the whole system. The lens is super important, and we did have some struggles with this at the very beginning until we got really clever and decided to start dabbling in doing the lenses ourselves and trying different lenses. And we finally found a formula that we like, and now we're rocking and rolling with that extender kit. We sell tons of them.
Exactly. The big thing about when we talk about fiber, 4 words: buy once, cry once.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if you do it right, you'll never have to go back into that wall, and you can you'll have more than enough bandwidth to support pretty much anything that's coming in the future. Also,
Absolutely.
another thing I used to like about your pieces from the very beginning is even if you're using a cat cable or Ethernet wire, your balance or your extenders are some of the few that actually support ARC, audio return channel. And a lot of times you need that now because you may have a smart projector connected to an AVR, and the smart projector has such and such in Netflix and Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos, and you want to get that signal back to the AVR. So ARC is important when you have a projector or a smart projector, and especially if you have a smart flat panel TV.
Yeah. So check this out. This is super cool. So we have an eARC extender kit now. So imagine you've got your sources are in a rack, your audio distribution system is in your rack, and let's be honest, not a lot of people have sources anymore. They might have a couple at most. You still see these nice high-end systems that have a few sources like Kscape and Blu-ray players still. So you can imagine that your sources are in your rack with your audio distribution system. So that signal eventually makes its way over to the display. Well, you're using that display's internal apps. So the audio signal goes from the display back through the extender kit back over to the rack, so you can hear the audio from that display throughout the home. Add on top of that, there's a loop out on the end that's over by the display. So if you wanted to have a local sound bar in that same room, you could do that too. So you could have your whole home distribution system playing the football game, and you could also be playing like maybe a local even an AVR or a local, maybe have one of these really nice Dolby Atmos soundbars. So it's a really versatile piece. And if you really want to get crazy, you could also send analog audio back. So if you had some analog audio source, there's an input on the receiver. And so regardless of what's in that room as far as an audio system goes, or what might be in that room as far as a local audio source, you can get all that stuff back to the rack and distribute it through the home. It's a really cool little kit. I did a video on it with a couple really cool like hands-on examples and what you can do with it if you check the AVPro Edge YouTube channel.
I love their YouTube channel. Jason runs a great one. They do everything from calibration to go through they walk you through all of their products. They troubleshoot. They give you tips and tricks on how to get the best picture quality and the best performance. It's a really, really good channel. So if you haven't subscribed to the Meridio and the AVPro YouTube channels, check them out. Now, so there's one more type of video distribution, and you had mentioned that it's been growing and you've had great success for it, and that's the one that kind of tripped me out when I first heard it, and that's called video over IP, right? So that's your MXNet. For those who have not heard of it before, how does that differ from a traditional extender that uses Ethernet wire?
So AV over IP is audio video over IP, and we call it MXNet. That's the branding, and it is an ecosystem. So if you're doing whole home distribution, or not necessarily a home, it could be a sports bar or something like that, but if you're doing distribution throughout an entire project, there are lots of cases where the project, the home maybe, is only wired with category cable. So how are we going to get all these audio video signals throughout the project with only category cable? And that's where AV over IP comes in. So it's a pretty simple concept. We'd have two systems. One is 1G and one is 10G. Our 10G system is really for those situations where you have nicer TVs, maybe nicer projector, something like that. And depending on the format you're sending through that system, it might be uncompressed if it's under 10 gigs at least. If it's over 18 gigs, there's some very light compression. It's using SDVOE technology, which is tried and true and has been around for a really long time. So in our projects, for our customers' projects, when they're doing higher quality displays, they like the 10G system. It's very versatile. Our Mentor software that lets the installer actually set the system up is super cool. It's super easy to use. It's just a simple web GUI with everything you need to know to set it up. So the system's pretty simple. It consists of, we'll talk about the 10G system because that's the big one right now. There's a network switch. So the network switch is sort of the brains of the whole operation. And what's really special about it is we make the switch. You know, it's not a rebranded Netgear or something like that. We actually physically make the switch. So that gives us the freedom to do whatever the heck we want with it. So you have our switch, and then you have the transceivers. They're transceivers because it can be a transmitter or a receiver. There's a little dip switch on the machine, and you can flip it to be whatever you need it to be. So you have the transceivers are hooked up to the switch, and your sources are hooked up to the transceivers. And on the other end where the display is, there's another transceiver that's set up as a receiver, and then that HDMI goes out to the TV. So you have this very simple system. It's almost plug and play, but really what really ties it all together are two big takeaways from it. We make everything in-house, which means that we can pre-program the switch for you before it even gets to the job site. So when you're there, you just plug everything in and maybe verify a few things. And we're the only switch with PoE for the 10G. So a lot of really cool things, and Phil, I know you've used a lot of our products before, but we try to make it as simple as possible. The picture quality is awesome. It's really easy to set up and use. And we also have a 1G system, don't forget. So if there's a situation where there's not gigantic screens or really high-end TVs or anything like that, maybe it's a smaller system or an office or a restaurant or something like that. The 1G system does
menus. You're just showing menus in a daily special, that kind of thing. It's
the 1G system. You know, we do a lot in restaurants for menus and airports for the flight screens and that kind of stuff. So for something that's like a little more cost effective but still very powerful, we usually recommend the 1G system. But for those folks who are doing the really good stuff, we suggest the 10G system. So you can also do some really cool stuff with mosaic walls, and what that means is, we'll take a display, and this is my little makeshift display that I just happen to be sitting here. So you could have an installation where you have displays in the installation, and they're all different shapes and sizes and in different orientations. So if you wanted to do something super trick, like in an art gallery, or we did a lobby at a corporate office where they just had this really cool display installation, and you were able to put the different things on there, and the screens were filled up properly. And if you're doing like a video wall, you can flip the two top TVs on the 1G system at least. So you can do a lot of really cool like trick stuff and custom stuff with the system. So easy to use, very versatile, and you can do some really fun stuff with it. And all comes with that 10-year warranty. I sound like a sales guy now, but it all comes with the 10-year warranty. And our another piece of good news too is we won Best Tech Support for System Contractor News this year too. So if you are on site and you're using things like the 4x2 or the AV over IP system called MXNet, give us a call at tech support, man. Our tier 2 tech support's right here with me in St. Pete. I hear those guys on the phone doing some great work and helping out the installers out there.
Okay, so basically, if you wanted maybe one or two TVs, in a house wired with Ethernet wire, you may just use a traditional HDMI extender. If you get into larger jobs, multiple TVs, and ultimate reliability and flexibility, and like you said, tiling and mosaic walls and all of that stuff, that's where the MXNet comes in. So that makes sense.
In fact, one of our engineers out in Seattle, his name's Kevin. He's really the big brains behind this system. He's a phenomenal engineer and a really nice guy, fun to hang out with. And they just sent us pictures from Seattle recently, and they had a system mocked up in real time with 1,100 endpoints. We don't mess around when it comes to doing things like this, and to build that system cost us a lot of money, but we have to prove out the fact to the industry that we can do this kind of stuff and the system still runs flawlessly. And And it's easy to set up even with that many endpoints.
Yeah, giant amusement park,
Dude,
university.
it's
Something
crazy.
like
And
that.
again, not being an IT guy, I was nervous about this and a little intimidated. But the more I've played with it this year, I'm like, okay, this is actually not bad at all.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
As you can see, AVPro has a ton of cool solutions for those who are looking to basically video from point A to point B. They also have some other devices which under their Meridio lineup, which we're going to talk about in a second video, to help you optimize the picture quality of your display devices. But we just wanted to come on and talk about just some of the latest news when it comes to video distribution and how AVPro Edge could help. So Jason, thank you very much.
Thank you, Phil. It's always fun. Stay tuned for 2024. We've got some extremely ambitious ideas for training. We're now starting to play a lot in the Dante space, which is typically what you'd hear in like professional audio situations, but there are lots of applications for Dante in commercial jobs and residential jobs. So the MXNet stuff is going well. We've got lots of cool products that we can't talk about yet for audio next year and for even more cool video little tools. But thank you again, Phil. It's always fun to hang out, man.
All right, and I will talk to you guys soon.
Cool. Bye.